All right, folks, welcome aboard this day after the latest Republican presidential debate. It is Wednesday. From our New York City studios, Michelle Malkin is here to discuss the debate, to talk about her new book, how it all ties in. It was quite a night, and, you know, I still think, if you're watching our post-debate coverage last night, I still think that Trump, Carson, Rubio, and Cruz won the debate or stood out among the others. Let's watch a soundbite from the debate, and then we'll be joined by the great Michelle Malkin.
If Republicans join Democrats as the party of amnesty, we will lose. The politics of it would be very, very different if a bunch of lawyers or bankers were crossing the Rio Grande. Or if a bunch of people with journalism degrees were coming over and driving down the wages in the press. For those of us who believe people ought to come to this country legally and we should enforce the law, we're tired of being told it's anti-immigrant. It's offensive.
All right, folks, and all that ties right into the great new book written by Michelle Malkin, and it is called Sold Out. And it's how high-tech billionaires and bipartisan beltway crap weasels, that's a quote, are screwing America's best and brightest workers, also written with John Miano. Good to see you, Michelle.
You too, Steve.
So, what did you think of the debate last night?
Well, there were some good moments, and that was definitely at the top of my list. And he's almost completely there. Now, I have a soft spot for Ted Cruz. I've known him a long time. I think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the smartest people on Capitol Hill, and he also happens to be one of the most principled. I mean, for movement conservatives, he's someone we can really trust. And that was very important to push back against the race card, the ethnic card, the nativist card that the open borders lobby in both parties is always playing to marginalize those of us who believe in some common sense restrictions and enforcement enforcement of the laws that are on the books to protect America, American workers, and American citizens.
Well, we know where Kasich and Bush stand on this.
Geez, yeah, with George Soros.
Yes, and we know where Ted Cruz stands on this and Donald Trump stands on this. Where does Marco Rubio stand on this? Because a lot of people like Marco Rubio, but they say or ask, where is he? He's been kind of on both sides of this issue.
Yeah, he's on a seesaw. And he's on whatever side is most politically expedient at the time. And that's why I wouldn't trust him farther than I could throw him. Because there are forks in the road. There are milestone moments in one's political or public career when your instincts come out. And when he was faced with the choice of whether to sign on to the Gang of Eight or spurn it, as Ted Cruz did when push came to shove, Marco Rubio was a tool for the open borders lobby. And as much lip service as he's paying now to enforcement and protecting American workers and blah, 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 it's really hard to believe him when you measure his campaign era rhetoric to the reality of legislating and governing.
Ben Carson, what do you think of Ben Carson?
You know, I met him personally when he came to Colorado Springs with his wife, who's impressive in herself. She's really the anti-Michelle Obama. I love her to death, the kind of common sense and the steely faith that the two of them have, and his character is being tested to the max here, and I think he's handled it very well. And he had a nice moment in the debate as well, and he was asked by Neil Cavuto about the double standards. But the problem with brand candidates who run on their biography, certainly we saw this with the fabulist, the tall tale teller-in-chief, who's currently in the White House. If that's all you have, it really leaves people hungering, especially in the movement conservative right, for some sense that there's more than just an inch deep of understanding of principles. Now, he just came out with a book called A More Perfect Union, and it's clear that he is a constitutional conservative. But let's take this issue of immigration. He's said very little. It's not something that he's really thought very much about, and he has criticized the H-1B guest worker racket. On the other hand, he has said some ambivalent things about where he stands on amnesty.
Yeah, absolutely. And today he came out and talked about how farm workers and hotel type places need these kinds of workers. So it's hard to tell. Assess the field, though. I mean, right now, is Donald Trump going to get the nomination? Who's going to get the nomination?
Well, you just can't dismiss him. A lot of people who thought his 15 minutes were going to be up hundreds and hundreds of hours ago. And I think that what that is a symptom of is just the hunger this insatiable hunger that people have on both sides of the aisle, and certainly all those independents that everybody is grabbing for, just a sense of an alpha male in a sea of betas on Capitol Hill. I've certainly had my issues with Donald Trump, or rather he's had his issues with me, because I've been very vocal and critical for many years of where he has stood on an issue that's near and dear to the heart of constitutional conservatives, the abuse of eminent domain. On the other hand, I give him credit, and we give him credit in our book, on the fact that he has an immigration reform proposal that is rock solid, that it is aimed at protecting American citizens and American jobs first, as every entrance and visa program into this country should be.
Yeah, and Cruz turned it into an economic issue as well in that little clip we heard.
Yes, he did. Now, all we need for him to do is renounce his silly proposal to quintuple the number of H-1B visas in this country. Yeah. He's this close. And of course, we've used that line in our book about, well, if journalists were flooded with the market of foreign competition, maybe they'd pay more attention.
What is a crap weasel?
You know, that is for me, it's defined by the Tea Party conservative who pays lip service to the values and principles that we believe in, and then goes native as soon as he's sent to Washington.
That's the whole Republican leadership.
Well, it pretty much is, and of course that was the whole reason for the rise of the Tea Party in the first place, and it explains the quandary of all of these lame establishment Republicans who are scratching their heads, wondering why outsiders are doing so well.
Which has led to the rise of Carson, Trump, and Fiorina to an extent. All right. Missouri, University of Missouri.
Yes.
All right, you know, people have poured on you and lambasted you, the left has, because of your race, because of your conservative views, you're a woman, for whatever they could pick on you. But I want you to watch this. This is a vice president of one of the classes at Missouri. Watch this woman.
I personally am tired of hearing that First Amendment rights protect students when they're creating a hostile and unsafe learning environment for myself and for other students here. I think that it's important for us to create that distinction and create a space where we can all learn from one another and start to create a place of healing rather than a place where we're experiencing a lot of hate like we have in the past.
All right, so she was talking about the journalist. Claiming the First Amendment right to be here, the photojournalist who was abused, and that teacher, by the way, she quit, but yet she still remains on campus. So I never got that. What's your take? Now they say there's no proof, no pictures, nobody saw the swastika of feces.
Yes.
Is this another Tawana Brawley? Is this another hands up, don't shoot?
Oh yeah, it has already been proven to be a rock solid hate crime hoax. And look, I went to Oberlin College, which was the Berkeley of the Midwest, back in the early 1990s. And all of this grievance politics, multiculturalism, the extremes of progressive identity politics was really just starting to brew. It's been a cauldron. I don't know if you remember, but Alan Bloom was an academic in the 1990s, came out with this very seminal book. It was called The Closing of the American Mind, and it talked about these things like the dropping of Western civilization requirements. And now what do we have? You know, fast forward to 2015, it's the coddling of the American mindless. Listen to that woman. She thinks that her job, that her whole task and mission on an institution of higher learning is to be protected from speech that harms her ego. What is this? Whatever happened to the mission of inculcating knowledge and truly exposing people to the diversity of intellectual ideas and thought?
Who allows this rock solid hate crime hoax to be perpetuated and go forward? Is it the media?
It certainly is, of course, because that's part of their prefab narrative. Right? There's a hegemony, what are the words they use? A hegemony of patriarchal racism that's infesting institutional racism. Nothing has changed since slavery. These people have no sense of appreciation for just how good they have it in this country.
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure to have you on. You're coming back with your co-author later in the week. We'll talk more about the book and talk a little bit about your daughter as well. Very moving story. Your daughter afflicted with an illness that you've gone to great lengths to try to discover what it is she's suffering from, and I think people will want to hear that as well. Great to see you. We'll see you later in the week. Michelle Malkin, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, author and columnist Kevin Williamson. Don't go away.